with You. I'm Crystal Nicole. Here with me today is singer, songwriter, and musician Brian Bateman.
Hi, Crystal.
Frontman to the Brian Bateman Blend. Yeah. Thanks for being here with us today.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's my pleasure.
So the Brian Bateman Blend is based out of Boise, but you had quite an experience down in LA.
I did. I grew up in Idaho. Okay, so I graduated from high school in Mountain Home in '89, and like everybody, you know, who picks up the instrument, they want to get the heck out of their hometown, you know.
Yeah.
I ended up back in Boise, but it was a long journey getting there. Yeah, so it took me all over the place, and eventually I ended up in LA.
Tell us about, you debuted your first album in 2002. Tell us about how that went for you.
Well, long story, but I'll save you a lot of the details, right? I ended up hooking up through television, actually. I got my start in LA in TV. And my manager, he was so connected. He was an Emmy award-winning TV guy, and he did Home Improvement and The Golden Girls, and just tons of great TV shows in the 80s. And he was just really plugged in. And when he heard a demo that I had made, he was like, "We've got to get you out of TV and into music." And so just through his connections, we ended up finding our way in, sort of, you know, haphazardly a little bit, because he was TV, but we made it into the music scene, and through connections of his, I ended up recording my first album with Grammy award-winning music engineer Guy Charbonneau and Les Mobiles. Just an amazing thing that happened. So.
And then you had a single, White Lies.
Yeah, the album was White Lie.
The album was White Lies.
The first single off of the record, Save Me. Save Me went on to the Billboard charts on Hits of the Web, and I was
Top
the very
40. Right?
It really was. Yeah, it debuted at 35.
Wow.
Back in 2002.
Right.
Just amazing. I mean, we were getting, you know, something like 10,000 downloads a day for an independent artist was crazy. So yeah, and once that kind of pinged on the radar, then it just shot up, and pretty soon Billboard latched onto it, and I made it onto the charts.
That's amazing. So you left the glamorous road of Los Angeles to come relocate back to Boise. Why did you come back to Boise?
Well, television at the time was taking a big hit because nobody really knew where to go in terms of the HD thing. And so my manager, who was primarily, his business was television, he just put all of his efforts and time into creating an HD mobile truck. Okay, and what ended up happening as a result is the music took a back seat to that. And since we were independent and we weren't getting funded by a major label or anything, the onus was put on us to, you know, me, my family, my musicians at the time, to sort of self-promote and get out there and try to work this crazy industry. And we did as good as we could for as long as we could, but it wore me out. You know, and you know, my family were from Idaho. My parents had recently relocated to back to Boise from Alaska, and so it just made sense. Let's get our heads out of LA for a little while, and we came up here. I continued to work in LA for a few years, but eventually the gap, you know, shortened between gigs and things like that and being out of town. I wanted to be around my family, and so we permanently made Boise our home a handful of years ago.
Very admirable. Well, we have a clip. Can you tell us a little bit about what we're about to see?
Well, what are you going to show? Is this opening for Meatloaf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so about a month ago, I get a phone call. I'm sitting there. I'm having my coffee in the morning, you know, and CT Touring gets a hold of me. A fantastic operation here in Boise gets a hold of me through Facebook. You know, it's normally, you know, it's my friends. Hey, what's up, Brian? I get this thing. Hey, you want to open for Meatloaf? You know, so.
You're like,
I'm looking
yeah!
at that. Do I want to open for Meatloaf? Yes. Are you serious? Yes. You know, and that was basically it. I mean, it was just a real quick thing, and there's no thinking about stuff like that. You just, yeah, I'm going to open for Meatloaf.
Right? Go for it.
Yes. So that was that. You know, and it was incredible. It's very surreal. But you know, I've been doing stuff like this for over 20 some years, you know, but the call to get to do something for somebody who I personally, you know, I mean, I've got the hair and I've got, you know, I mean, it's Meatloaf, right? So right. It was totally cool.
Awesome. Yeah. Well, let's check it out right now.
Great, thanks. There's just clips from all over, so.
on. Thanks for showing that.
Well, absolutely, absolutely. So that stuff, those were some clips from, one was from Community Progressive, that's headed up by Adrian Evans of UVI, and we did that at the band shell. And then there was, I think, somewhere in there you showed one of our shows at the Knitting Factory. The Blend have played 4 times now in the last, well, in under a year at the Knitting Factory, and we really love going to the Knit. They enjoy having us out there, and it's just a world-class venue for bands like us.
Right on.
Yeah.
Well, going back, I wanted to talk to you about, not only are you the singer-songwriter, musician, artist, you're an activist, and
Sure.
you do a lot of fundraising for local events. Can you tell us a little bit more about that?
Well, yeah, I mean, I've been doing, I think primarily my call as a singer-songwriter back when I was a kid was just, you know, I was influenced by Elvis big time, and not just the glitz and glamour of Elvis's life, but the fact that he was a human. He was a real guy, you know, and I've always tried for my whole life, you know, to, I never wanted to be the famous celebrity person, you know, make yourself up to be somebody that you're not. I'm just who I am. And I respected the vulnerable side of Elvis. And I don't think that enough people got to really see that side of him. But the side that they did see was how charitable he was. You know, just an incredible man, and he used his power and influence and money, you know, I mean, he gave away a lot more than he actually really made in his life. So, and I kind of just based my life around that principle, that if you do have a talent or something that's sort of extra special that people pay attention to, I felt like I had a responsibility to use that to help. And so I've been doing that since I was, you know, a teenager, you know, in organizing things, you know, car washes and whatever, you know, I'll play anywhere. You know, you want to have a good cause, something that you need some money for or some attention drawn to, and I'll be there. That's
What
just
have
the way
you
I've always
fundraised for? What charity?
Well, you know, we do stuff every year for the Treasure Valley Autism Society. It's very, very close to our heart. My drummer Trevor from the Blend, both of his boys are autistic, and then my son also is on the spectrum. So it's very close to our heart. So we like to hook up with those guys several times a year and do something. We've done events for the Komen Foundation. We do, you know, we do our annual thing here. We do a cook-off in Meridian called the Wing Off, and that's a fundraiser for the Kiwanis. In fact, about 2 weeks ago, we did a big fundraiser out in Eagle for the Eagle firefighters. So it's just all over the spectrum, you know. I would say this particular band, they're so generous with their time and everything. The Blend, we've been playing for about 1.5 years together. You know, I'm going to say that probably 3/4 of the shows that we've done in the area have all been benefits or you know, fundraising type things.
That's so respectable.
Thanks.
And where can we find more information on the Brian Bateman Blend?
Oh, well, we have a Facebook page, the Brian Bateman Blend on Facebook, and then also we've got a website kind of being put together right now, but it's thebrianbatemanblend.com.
Excellent.
And that's what we have a calendar there. We're on a little bit of a break right now because it's been a crazy summer. I mean, we've had shows back to back to back to back, and then I've been out doing my solo stuff, coming back into town and working with those guys.
Right
So
on.
yeah, so we're a short break, but we'll be back out there real soon.
And then back to the grind.
Yeah.
Well, there you have it. Be sure to look out for the Brian Bateman Blend. You can find him on Facebook and thebrianbatemanblend.com. Thank you so much for being on the show with us,
Thanks
Brian.
a lot, Crystal. I appreciate it.
Absolutely.